Hello and welcome to another Clay Creator build. Today's model is our key stage 2 version of the monkey, and hopefully we'll be able to get something that looks like this towards the end. For the build we will need our scales, our creator cards and tools, our pots of clay, and if at all possible an airtight container just to help keep the clay nice and fresh during the build. Before we get started though, I'm going to go over the key facts for the monkey. Please listen up, please take it on board. Hopefully there's something new in there that you didn't know, and again you may be quizzed later on, mum and dad, so take these bits of information on board. So fact number 1. There are currently 264 different species of monkey, which means basically that mankind are aware of 264 different types of monkey. Fact number 2, monkeys can be divided into 2 groups, old world monkeys and new world monkeys. Old world monkeys mainly live in Africa and Asia, and the new world monkeys live in South America. Okay, fact number 3. A baboon is an example of the old world monkey, and the marmoset is an example of the new world monkey. Fact number 4. Monkeys can be basically live in tribes, missions or troops, so that is the collective name for the group of monkeys, so depending on the species they'll get a different type of name. Fact number 5. Apes, gibbons, lemurs and chimpanzees are not actually scientifically classed as monkeys. Fact number 6. Monkeys are found almost all over the world except Australia and Antarctica. Fact number 7. Monkeys actually live for a long time in the wild, and they can live between 10 and 50 years, so they basically live for a long time out in the wild. Let's get started by mixing our brown. We're going to need 3 colours. We're going to need yellow, blue and red. We're going to measure using our scales, so let's make sure they're on at 0 and measuring on the grams unit. And we'll start off with yellow. So if we can weigh out 8.5, so 850 of yellow clay. And then we'll move on to the blue. Okay, I'm at 852. Blue clay is going to be 1.20. So 120. And finally the red, a little bit more red this time, and we're going to be measuring out at 2.5 or 250 of red. Okay. Remember, always putting your lids on and clay away, keeping it nice and fresh for later on. We'll mix those together and we'll get a nice brown. And keep going nice and even. Get rid of all the yellow, blue and red. Once we've got a nice even brown, we're going to turn this into a few measurements. We'll save some, sorry, and we'll use some straight away. The bits that we're going to do straight away are the head, body and the little tuft of hair on the top. So we'll do those ones first. So nice brown, ready to go. So like I say, we're going to start with the head. The head measurement is going to be 3 grams, so 300 of this brown. Oops. Okay, so my head. Body is going to be 500. Okay, and so that little hair, the little tufty bit that we will put on the top is going to be measured out at 0.20, so 0.20, just a small measurement. Oops. Okay, rest of your brown you need to save for later on, so we're going to put that into our airtight container, lid on. And we'll start here. So head first, so I put my head at the top. All we're going to do is get this to the starting position, kind of give it a stretch, give it a mold, get rid of any lines, any lumps, and I'm going to roll this out into a nice smooth ball. Now I use my hands. It's up to you whether you want to try using your hands. You might want to work on your work surface or your workstation in front of you. Whatever is best for you to get a nice smooth round ball. I'll do that the same with all three measurements. Again, keep them separate so you know where they are. I've got my head furthest at the top. I'm working on the body now. And finally, just a little hair. Don't worry too much about the hair. Right, the shapes we're going to do, they're not too difficult, they're not too crazy to start off with. All we're going to do with each of them, we're going to just give them a slight move. So I'm going to start with the body this time. So I'm going to just give that a gentle roll. All I'm doing is rolling this slightly, giving it a little bit of a, more of a Kinder Egg kind of shape. I'm just giving it a gentle press, and we should end up with more of a shape like this. Stand that up on your workstation, give it a little press, and it should stand up nice and straight. Okay, all we're going to do then is take the head and we're going to put that onto the top. So if you roll that into a nice smooth ball, you should be getting a flat bit where it's been sat down. I'm going to put that on top, nicely in the middle. Now what we're going to do whilst these are drying, we're going to actually have them drying on the face or the front of the monkey. So what we're going to do now, it doesn't really matter at this point. All you're going to do is put it down and give it a little press down just slightly on your workstation or surface, and it will give you a flat back and a little bit on the front. And we'll let that start drying. I'm going to put that away in a moment once we've worked on the hair. Now the hair, there is no right or wrong. If you want to do a little bit more detail, it's absolutely fine. If you're just going to do a little bit of something up there, again, it's your choice. I'm going to just start off with a ball, and all I do is flatten one end and then kind of thin out. So I point it with my fingers. And then all I'm going to do, take my tool, cut into it a little bit, give some lines. Curve it around a little. And all we're going to do is put that onto the head. Now remember, the bit that's lying down at the moment is the face. So when I pick this up, I want my tufty bit to kind of be coming over the front. So while I pick it up, I've got a flat front, and I'm going to put this on the top. My tufty little hair piece bit will stick on the top. I'll just smooth it onto his head a little bit. Maybe take my tool again, put those little details in again. So there's no real right or wrong with the hair, just however a little monkey would have. The front. And so your hair will probably look different. And all we're going to do again is when we put it back into the airtight container now, we're going to put the face down and let it dry that way. Okay, so into the airtight container and leaving it face down. We're doing that just to explain, because when we put his eyes and his like little snouty area on, it's better to have a flat front and it will stick on a little bit better. If it's rounded, it's a little bit trickier. Same with the belly piece or the little tummy piece that we put on. If it's a little bit flatter, it gives a nice finish. Okay, so we're going to mix the tan that we're going to use for those little bits now. And we've got a few different measurements. We're actually going to use 4 colours to get this. So we're going to use our scales again. We'll make sure they are back on at 0. Measuring G again. And we'll start off with white, and this time we're going to measure 1.3 grams, so 1.30. Then we'll work our way down. Oh. Okay, so I've got my white. I'm going to move on to my yellow. My yellow needs to be measured out at 0.5, so 0.50 of yellow. Lid on again, always remember to put your lids on. Then we're going to move over to our red and our blue. So red first, and we're going to measure this one out at 0.10, so 0.10 of red, only a little bit of red. Oh, dead on. And finally the blue is going to be measured out at it's going to be measured using our creator card. We're going to go on to the ball measurements. So as you can see, we've got 0.51 working our way up. We're going to actually go to the 0.5 centimeter. So a tiny pinch of blue clay. Now remember, when you do these measurements using our the card, when you turn them into the balls, remember they've got to be balls, not squished down and pressed down. It's got to be a ball. When you put it onto the card, you still need to be able to see around the outside, you still need to be able to see that circle of the measurement. So it's only a tiny measurement of blue. So I've got my 4 colours, I'm going to mix them all together, and this will give us the tan that we need for his face and his eyes, his hands, his feet, and a little tummy part as well. So give that a nice mix. What we'll do with this starting off, we're going to obviously use some straight away, and we'll store some again in our airtight container. We're going to do the ears first. Now the ears are a combination of some of this and some of the other brown. So mix that in, we've got a nice tan colour now. So we're going to start off with a touch of the other brown. And this brown is going to be measured out using our scales again. We're going to go to 0.10 again, so 0.10, and we're going to do that twice for his 2 ears. So again, just 2 very small measurements. One. 2. Rest of the clay away again for the time being. Okay. Okay, take a little tan, and the tan is going to be a tiny because we're going to basically do the brown and then a little bit of tan inside that. Okay, now we're going to use this again from our creator cards. We're going to use the 0.5 again, so just a tiny pinch of that tan. Not too much on that one. So we should end up with 2 tan ones and 2 light brown ones. I'm going to put that tan away in the container for the time being. I'm going to bring the main monkey out. Again, leave him on his face for the time being. What we're going to do with the ears, I'm going to start with the brown. Roll them into our balls again, as always. If you've got some lines in there, you might want to stretch them out. What we're going to do is going to press them down, make them flat, but keeping them even. Don't press down too hard so you've got a lump or a line in there. You can turn them over and use your work surface to make sure they're nice and smooth. We're going to do the same with the tan. Press. Obviously, with there being less clay, you're going to get a smaller circle with those ones. And all we're going to do is take the tan and put it inside the brown, but we're not going to go right in the middle. I'm going to put it a little bit down to one side or in a corner. I'll show you that in a moment. I'll bring that to the camera. We'll press it down with it, so we should have more of that effect. Oops. rather than right in the middle. And we're going to put them onto his head now. So picking him up, I'm going to put the bit of the tan that's closest to the edge of the ear, I'm going to put that against his head. Again, I'll show you that on camera in a moment. So it should look like that. And we're going to put him away again. Just while we work on the face, we're going to put him face down back into our airtight container. I'm going to take the tan clay out. We're going to use a little tan for the face to start off with. And we're going to use our creator card again. And we'll start off with a 1 centimeter measurement. Oh, fantastic. Actually, at the same time, I'm going to measure out on my scales a 0 to 0. So 0.20. And that bit is going to be for his mouth. I'm just going to put that bit at the top of the table so it's out of the way for the time being. Okay, so his mouth up, and I'm going to put the rest of the clay again back into my airtight container, keeping that nice and fresh. The first measurement we did, we're going to split that in half. Now you can use your hands, you can use your tool, depends on what works best for you. So I'm going to just split that in half, and these are going to be his eyes, so what's behind his pupils. So if I bring the original up to you, you see we're going to do 2 tan circles, then we'll do the white and the black, and his mouth again will sit on top of them. So starting off, these are the 2 circles behind, so we're going to just press them down slightly, flatten them down like we did with the ears, and then we're going to put those 2 together. So just gently place them together next to one another so they are touching, give them a little press down. Now if possible, it'd be good to have a flatter bottom on one of them, across them both, if that makes sense. So I'm going to just use my tool slightly and push them down. So I've still got the 2 circles, but at the bottom it's a little bit flat. Don't worry too much about this, it just helps when the mouth goes on. So the bit not really showing very well at the top. So at the top here I'm going to make it as flat as possible, so when the mouth connects it's less of a circle to go on. Okay. Move on to the mouth. With the mouth, all we're going to do, we're going to shape it, and then once we put it onto the actual monkey, we'll put the mouth and the snout, the nostrils on there, because once you put it on, you kind of squish it slightly, so I don't want to put the mouth on just now. So I'll give it a stretch back to that smooth starting ball, and all we're going to do with this is give it a little gentle roll to make it a little bit more of a sausage. Tiny little sausage. So it's going to be kind of that depth, still the same shape. All we're going to do is put that across that flatter part of the eyes. Just give it a gentle touch. Before that dries too much, we're going to get the actual eyes on there. So pinch of white and a pinch of black. When I say a pinch, it depends. If you want to do bigger eyes, you're fine. It's up to you. I'm going to take a white measurement that fits inside that 0.5 circle on your creator card. And what I'll do, I'll split that in half. So like we did with the tan, I'm going to take my tool and I'm going to cut that in half. Again, all I'm going to do is gently press them down, making them into circles. And I'm going to take an even smaller pinch of black to go inside there. So I'm going to take my black. You could start off doing the same again by going with a 0.5 if you're going to be, if you want to measure exact. Cut that in half. Now technically you should have the same size as the white, so I'm going to get rid of one of them. I'm going to take just one of those little black circles or balls and cut that in half again. And what I'll do, I'll use those ones as my little pupils. I'm going to put them on my eyes. Just gently press them down. And then we're going to put these onto the tan part above the mouth. And to be nice and gentle, not to press it down too much. And we should have something that looks like this. Bring it to the camera. We'll get that onto the monkey now, and like I say, once we've got that on, we can do the mouth and the little nostrils. It's up to you whether you want to give him a smile. You might want to give him the kind of the monkey kind of mouth, which is kind of an O shape. It's your choice. So just place that gently on at the front, and now you'll see what I meant by the flat front of the monkey's head. Makes it a little easier for the face to go on there. Just give it a gentle push on. Like I say, and then just give him his nostrils and his mouth. We should have a little monkey that looks like this, or something like this at the moment. So now, obviously, you can't put him on his face. You don't want his face to get squished. So we'll do his tummy quickly now. So we're going to go back to the tan clay. And we're going to do a little measurement quickly now for his tummy. Now we're going to use the scales. So check your scales are back on at 0. And we're going to do 0, 1, 0. So 0, 10. Oh, fantastic. Now all we're going to do with this, we're going to do a little belly for him. I'm going to say a little belly. It's just a little circle basically that's stretched out. So back into our ball. We're going to roll this out slightly into, again, a little sausage, similar to what we did with the snout area, or the nose, mouth area. And then all we're going to do is press this down and actually make it flat. So it should kind of come out more of a oval sort of shape. Give it flattened down. And this time we do want it kind of flat. Try and make it even though, all the way up. It should up, and we're looking for something like this. Place that onto his tummy. Try and get it into the middle if you can. And give it just a gentle push down onto his tummy. So it should look like that. And then we're going to build around that. We're going to do his legs, arms, and finally his tail and banana. Put that back into the airtight container then, and bring out the rest of the dark brown. I'm going to start off at this section doing his legs. His legs are measured out using the scales, so scales on again. And we are going to measure out 0.80. I'm going to do that twice for his 2 legs. Okay. Okay, we've got 1. 2. Get this back to that starting position we always talk about. So give it a stretch, give it a roll. and get them back to the nice smooth balls. And what we're going to do with the legs are going to be rolled out into sausages. We'll add some feet on at the bottom and we'll add them to the monkey, but then we'll kind of turn them once we've added other parts. That will kind of all make sense later on. If you've still got your brown clay out, pop it back into your airtight container and swap it over, and we'll take a touch of the tan. And the feet are going to be measured out using our scales again, and we're going to do a 020 or a 020 of the tan. Like I say, these are for his feet. And again, we're going to need to do that twice. Okay, 1. Give them a stretch as well. Need them nice and smooth and circular again, without any lines. Now the feet you can put a little detail on once we've shaped them, once we've done them. You maybe want to put some toes on there, that's fine. So legs first, we're going to roll them out. I mean, it doesn't have to be exact. You can roll them out to a rough size, you can make them a little longer by stretching them later on. I'm going to roll them out to around about, wait 1 second, I think it's about 5 centimeters. Just double check on my card. So rulers on the back of the creator card. I'm going to roll that out 4.5, 5 centimeters to start off with. As long as both your legs are the same, you'll get the right effect. Don't worry if they aren't quite the same length as mine. Again, even pressure, trying to make sure I don't get any lumps throughout them. Okay, got 2 the same. The feet, so we've rolled them back to a nice, excuse me, nice round smooth ball. And what we're going to do is give them a gentle roll, just very, very slight, give them more of a rectangle. And then I'm going to press down at one end very, very slightly. Now that end that I'm pushing down is going to be where the foot, where the leg connects. So the bit that's raised now would be where you are going to put the toes or little lines in if you want to do toes. So I'm going to just take my tool, give it a little slice. Same with the other one. So we're looking at this kind of shape, and at the front some lines. So then we can attach the legs onto the flatter part. Oops. If you're struggling at any point with clay sticking, like I have done there, a little bit of fresh clay on each side of the piece that you're trying to stick together should work. Okay, so we're looking for this sort of effect. Now what we're going to do, we're going to add that to the monkey, but we're going to have them kind of sticking outwards to start off with. So if I have him facing you, we're going to put one leg each side, and I'm going to be sticking outwards for the time being. Okay, I'll do that myself first. Give it a little gentle press down. So his legs are sticking out. Should look like, oops, oh dear. So if you're looking from the bottom, we should have that kind of effect. And if you're looking at him sat towards you, he'll be like this. And eventually we're going to turn his legs round. Surely if you want to kind of give it a little idea now, it's fine. You could leave it for a moment. But I'm going to put him back into the airtight container and just lean him up against the side. So I don't want him to fall down, so I'm just going to put his back up against the wall if possible. And take out the brown clay. I'm going to do his arms and his hands shortly. So its arms are going to be measured out using our scales. And we're going to measure 0, 5, 0. I'm going to do that twice for his arms. And again. Fantastic. So my two arms, I'm going to do his hands as well at the same time. But before that, I'm going to actually measure his tail out. So using the remaining brown clay, we won't use it all. We should have some left over for any extra bits that you want to do. His tail is going to be measured out 0, 5, 0. And I'm just going to leave this on my workstation ready to be used in a moment. So I'll put that at the front so I know that's the one at the front. I'm going to put the rest of the clay away, and I'm going to swap that over to get the rest of the tan clay out. And I'm just going to measure his hands out quickly. His hands are going to be measured using the creator card. I'm going to go for the 1 centimeter circle again. So snap it off, a little ball. Oh, wow. And same again. A bit too much at time. So we've got arms and hands ready to be molded. Starting with the arms, I'm going to give them a quick stretch and freshen up. Roll them out into the nice smooth balls. And we're going to just roll these ones out again, like we did with the legs. We're going to roll them out a little bit shorter this time. But again, it depends if you want them to be a little longer. It's up to you. So we're going to go roll to around about 4, 4.5 this time. So again, I'm going to turn my card over. Just double check. 4 centimeters. Again, try and make sure both arms are basically the same length, and that way you'll get the effect. And then as for the hands, very similar to what we did with the feet. So start off with a nice round smooth ball, and if you want to slice in some fingers using your tool, again, just gently give it a little line in there, and then stick on at one end. Little lines. And then on the end of the arms. So you should have 2 arms with 2 little hands on. I'm going to basically put them on his, oops, my hand's fallen off, onto his as shoulders at the moment. And then we'll place a banana in between. So if you get the monkey now, we're just going to mainly put on at the top. So at the shoulder point is where we're going to attach now. His hands can be kind of moved when you need to shortly. Now this is when you want to maybe if you're ready to move his arms, his legs a little bit, you can do. I'm going to put his arms on, like I say, at the shoulder now, and have them coming forward for the time being. So they'll basically be between his legs. And then once I've done my banana, I will move them slightly and kind of put them where I need them all to be. So if they're attached at the moment just at the shoulder, try not to touch too much else. So he's kind of like that at the moment. Ooh, let me throw in him. Again, put him back in the airtight container for a moment. I'm going to just do the banana. So we are going to use our yellow. Now you can put a little detail on your banana if you want, it's up to you. The banana is measured out using our scales, and the final measurement on there will be a 040. Fantastic. And we are then just going to turn that into the banana kind of shape. Now you can do it, like I say, you do as much detail on there as you want. Just roll it off, start off with a ball again. and I'm just going to gently roll that out into a sausage slightly. And this is a little bit of a mold rather than anything else, because you've got to kind of shape it with your fingers, with your hands. You can try and use your tools if you want. You're obviously just trying to turn that into a half moon sort of shape, banana shape. Give it a little curve. Point it a little at the ends. And it's then up to you where you want to put that with your monkey, basically. So I'm going to have him kind of holding it with both hands. So gently putting him out. So I'm going to put it under one arm and I'll bring the other one over. So gently now, when you're kind of shaping this bit, try not to move too much. And I'm going to bring his legs round a little as well. And there's one final thing to do, will be to put on his tail. So at the moment I've got him grabbing his banana. So his tail is going to be the final part that will go on at the back, will help hold him, sit him upright a little bit. The tail again is kind of up to you how you want to design it. I will roll this out into a sausage and kind of have it curling round on itself. Again, it's up to you. If you want to change that and do a different design with the tail, it's fine. I'm going to start off by rolling it into our starting position again. And all I'm going to do is roll that out nice and smooth and even. And I'm going to go for around about 8 centimeters. Oh, excuse me, hiccups. On my card, which will give me enough to kind of roll, like I said, roll around on itself. So nice and gentle, trying to get it even all the way along. And I've got 8 centimeters, fantastic. So like I say, all I'm going to do, roll it on itself and then stick one end underneath, kind of where his legs attach underneath. I'll show again in a moment. So roll it up. You can have this kind of sticking up his back slightly if you want. So I've gone with a little roll. I'm going to take the pointy end. I'm going to just stick that under where his legs attach. Press it down slightly. Like I say, you could have it lying on the work surface like that, or you can bring it up. I'm going to bring it up slightly. Just gently push it up against his back, shoulder area. So it looks like it's sticking up. So underneath, it looks like that, where you connect it. And around the back, I've gone with that kind of attachment. Okay. So hopefully you've got a monkey that looks something like that, or obviously your own design. So now it's time for a little bit of free play, a little bit of your own imagination to come out. So we normally use 5 grams in total. So you can use 1 gram of every colour, use your scales to measure them out. Or you can just obviously mix that. If you want a particular colour more than the others, let's say use up to 5 grams worth. If you found the scales a little bit tricky, and you might want to scale it back a bit and try using the measuring spoons that we use at Key Stage 1, you could head on to our website to claycreators.com/shop to order the measuring spoons and give Key Stage 1 a little try. Same again at the shop, you can also download our activity sheets, word searches and crosswords. And if you are running low on clay and need another delivery, obviously again head to claycreators.com/shop to order there. Okay, thank you very much for joining us today, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you. Bye.